Live from the Dr. Jerry Henderson Radio Complex, it's time for Card Guys. And now, here's your host, Anthony Schulte.
Good morning. Thank you, Michael, for the intro as always, and welcome to Card Guys Detroit Sports Talk, Season 4, Episode 19. Coming up today, we have a packed show. The Tigers start off the season against the top team in the majors. The Pistons get physical and fall short against Minnesota. The Red Wings snag a much-needed win in the wild card race. And the NCAA Final Four is set. I'm Anthony Schulte, and join me, as always, welcome back to the program after a week in the Dominican Republic, Ryan Donnelly.
Hope your Monday is going well, Michael, Anthony. I missed you both dearly. Fans, family, friends, I missed you all dearly as well. For those who don't know, like Anthony said, I was in the Dominican Republic for a week, family vacation. It was great. We swam, we ate, we drank.
You fell.
Huh?
You fell.
I fell, yeah.
He did.
So I had a great, restful time. It was a great time. I needed that dearly for my mental health and just overall for my overall well-being. So these two held it down really well. They put on two great shows, and I overslept my alarm. That's on me. And that's how you know we're back. So we're gonna have a great show. I just can't wait to get back, man.
Yeah, we're right here, and also right next to me, Mr. Michael Rosenkranz.
It's kind of a weird Monday morning, but
It is.
you know what? We're here. We got a show for you guys, and it's jam-packed, but there's a lot to talk about, and for good reason.
It is a weird Monday morning. I overslept my alarm. I had an alarm set from 4:30 to 6 o'clock. I'm sorry to my roommate and his girlfriend. And I bulldozed those and woke up at 6:20 to my emergency alarm, and some expletives may have rang through my dorm room, and I quickly got ready. You overslept your alarm, and he overslept his alarm. So it's a very, very Can you folks tell that it's almost finals season?
Yep.
Can y'all tell we've been here for a little bit?
5 more weeks.
Yeah, it is
39 more
That
days.
is so crazy to
One
think
more
about.
month until finals.
Isn't it less than 20 days until WrestleMania?
I think
There's
so.
22 more weeks? 3 more weeks.
So it's 21.
21.
No, it's 20.
20.
No, 19.
Yeah, less than 3 weeks.
19.
Yeah, you're right.
Because it's on that Saturday,
that
the 19th.
Saturday.
There you
Yeah,
go.
and then only like 3 or 4 more weeks until finals, and then 5 more weeks until we leave. 39 days. I counted 39 days until we leave.
That's insane.
That is insane.
And we only have 10 more shows.
Yeah, that is true. And a potential surprise couple episodes, too.
That's correct.
Yes.
All right. All right, let's get into our 3 stars. Ryan, you're returning. So, Ryan, how about you start us off here?
All right, let's do it. My 3 stars. My third star, I'm going with Spencer Torkelson. We'll talk about it later in the show, but the Tigers got swept by the Dodgers. Not ideal to start off the season against the reigning World Series champions, but one of those bright spots from that series was Spencer Torkelson. I want to highlight the opening day game where he had 4 walks and a home run. Best game of his young career. Hopefully we see more production against Seattle this week. My second star, I'm going with Thesar Thompson. In a very surprising win against the Cleveland Cavaliers, 18 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 blocks, and 2 steals. Best game of his career. I'll say it. Best game of his career against probably one of the best wins of the season.
Oh, yeah.
So, Thesar Thompson, when Cade was out, he's stepped up. We'll talk about it again later in the show. My first star, I'm just going to go with the New York Yankees. On
Hell of a
Saturday,
performance on Saturday.
yeah. On Saturday, 9 home runs. 4 of those were in the first inning. I'm going to name all the people that had a home run. Paul Goldschmidt, Cody Bellinger, Aaron Judge had 3 of them. Jazz Chisholm, Anthony Volpe, Austin Wells, and Oswald Peraza. Unbelievable stuff from the New York Yankees on Saturday, beating the Milwaukee Brewers 20-9. Anthony told me this on Saturday, but the Brewers did put up 9. You think they ran away with the game, but in reality, they lost by 11. So that's what happens when you go against one of the best teams in baseball, and those are my 3 stars.
Michael.
Alrighty, my third star is going to be Jalen Duren, highlighting his win over the Cleveland Cavaliers on Friday, the 28th, 3 days ago. 16 points, 13 rebounds. He had 0 assists that day, which a little uncharacteristic of him because you have to literally work to not get an assist.
Yeah.
But he had a block in there as well and had a steal as well. So not too bad of a performance for Duren there. My second and first stars are delving into CMU lacrosse. My second star is going to go to Maggie Merrill, recording her first career hat trick less than 2 minutes into the third quarter in a really, really important MAC contest against Eastern Michigan. And my first star is going to go to Sky DePrado. She had a hat trick as well. 4 total goals and a 5-goal streak for the Chippewas in the fourth quarter to come back and beat Eastern. The Chippewas still have never lost to Eastern in MAC play in a few years.
Really?
It's been a few years since CMU has lost to Eastern Michigan. I'm reading it here. They've been undefeated against the Eagles through 4 consecutive meetings. So really good stuff from CMU. A great comeback win. Those are my 3 stars.
All right, I'll quickly hit mine here. Third star, Aaron Judge, as previously mentioned by Ryan. In that game, 4 for 6. How about 3 home runs, 8 RBIs, scored 4 runs? How about total bases of 14?
Wow.
An incredible game for Aaron Judge. Probably one of the better games we're going to see this season, and it happened on day 2. So Aaron Judge snags my 3rd star. Second star is going to go to the Tigers' own Dylan Dingler. In one of the losses, that second loss against LA. We'll talk about it here in a few moments. 2 for 5, a home run, 3 RBIs, and a 2-run triple in extra innings that really got the wheels churning in extra innings for the Tigers, making it 5-3. Obviously, we wanted to lose that game, but regardless, it's on Real. It has a 6.9 play score. Usually scores are about like 2 or 3. And it got a 6.9. Nice. So Dylan Dingler snags my second star with that one. And my first star, we're giving it to Tim Hardaway Jr. And one of the best wins in the NBA, I'll say, one of the best wins in the NBA, the entire NBA. You've got no Cade, you've got no Tobias. Pistons come in against the best team, a healthy one of the best teams in the league, not the best, one of the best, Cleveland Cavaliers, and Tim Hardaway Jr. turns into prime, we'll say Stephen Curry. 10 for 18 from the field, 7 of 11 from 3. He's shooting a convenience store from 3. 32 points, 3 assists, a rebound, only 1 turnover. Incredible game from Tim Hardaway Jr. Obviously his best game as a Piston, and one of the best games just in all of the NBA in general for the Pistons this season. Those are 3 stars. Let's get into the Detroit Tigers. We'll start off with some baseball today. It's baseball season. Baseball's back. Opening day has commenced. It's came, it's gone. And the Tigers are 0-3. Did we expect anything less? Probably. Or anything more? Do we expect anything more? Probably not. They're the best team in the majors. The Dodgers are. They're a unit. They're a juggernaut. They might have the best record in MLB history by the end of the season. They have no weaknesses, it seems. But the Tigers, they came close in 2 games. It was a football score in Game 3, 7-3. But in the first 2 games, the Tigers had many chances. I think the stat was they were 2 for 26 with runners in scoring position through the first 2 games. Might be a little bit off, but I think it was 2 for 26 at some point in between those 2 games.
I think at one game it was 2 for 30.
2 for 30, even worse. So, obviously, you had your chances to win. Was Manny Margot, by the way, another great story, Manuel Margot, hell of a signing. He's really playing his tail off. I think... Hold on. I think I could go back here. Hold on. Let me cook. Manuel Margot this season is batting .556 so far with 3 RBIs.
Wow.
And he had that really clutch hit, I think it was in extras too?
Yes.
Yes, he had that really clutch hit in extra innings for the Tigers. Heck of a signing for Detroit, Manuel Margot. But was he safe? I think so. Friend of the program, Isaac Haffenden, doesn't think so. It was too close to call.
It was very close.
But because it's the Dodgers, it wasn't too close to call.
Right.
Which you can't really change what's called on the field if you don't have the sufficient evidence. We didn't have the sufficient evidence. However, it's still a loss. You had your chances to win. You should be 2-1. You had your chances. You should be 2-1, but you're 0-3. Now you have a chance against Seattle, as Ryan mentioned earlier in the program. You have your chances now against Seattle to kind of right some of these wrongs and get some wins into the scorebook here.
And it's an important series for the Tigers. I mean, Seattle's still a very good team. They're starting off not on the right foot either. They're starting off, I think, 1-2, but they have some phenomenal assets to their team. Julio Rodriguez, they just extended Cal Raleigh to a big extension. So they have weapons, and it's going to be... Tigers had an off day yesterday, which is a little uncharacteristic on a Sunday, but you're going in today for...
You take those early off days, though.
You do, for a 3-game set against Seattle, so all of those, or the first 2 of them are going to be late tilts, both at 9 o'clock, and then the third game will be at 4 o'clock, a little more manageable. But then after that, you get to come back home. So I think this is a series where the Tigers have to right some wrongs and find some ways to get your runners in who put themselves in scoring position. 2 for 30 with runners in scoring position is not a formula for success, and that's something you have to clean up, right?
Yeah, I agree with both of you. The Mariners, they're 1-1. They got blown out by the Athletics, so anything is possible. I mean, they don't have a great bullpen. I think their starting rotation is really, really good, and obviously their offense is great. You got the likes of Randy Rosarena, who's one of my favorite non-Tigers. You got Cal Raleigh. You got J.P. Crawford. You got Julio Rodriguez. You have some solid pieces on the Mariners. I think the one thing that could turn the Tigers... turn the tides for the Tigers is the Mariners bullpen. I think if they don't get any hits or any runs off of that starting rotation, they can for sure get some runs off that really terrible bullpen. So I feel like I could expect the Tigers to win at least 2 games in this series and then just come back home for the opening day against the White Sox and just sweep the White Sox.
And you would expect the Tigers to at least take these games because they're being aggressive. That's a bright spot that we've seen in the 3 games in this series. They've been aggressive. They've been really aggressive.
I mean, not only aggressive, but, I mean, you saw it in the first game. You see it in the second game. They don't go away.
Nope.
They don't go away. First game, they come back in the later innings. Second game, it goes to extra innings, and you make that comeback in the extra innings. You go up 5-3. Obviously, you end up losing the ball game, but still, you're hanging into games. You're not just laying down to die. And I think that's something that not only catapulted them into the playoffs last year, but they've kind of made that their identity, and it's still their identity, at least seemingly so, at the start of this season, which is refreshing to see because you don't want to lose that type of thing, which you can lose it in the span of an offseason.
You can, and it's really great to see this kind of mindset mentality flourish for the Tigers thus far early in the season. You got a big test against Seattle. You're on the road again, so you got to prove yourself, and you got to win games on the road. It's tough to win on the road in any league. But got a good chance tonight, and if Ryan put it, if you can take advantage of the bullpen, you could be in a good spot.
Yep. All right, so the Tigers and the Mariners, they're going to play tonight, 9:40 on FanDuel Sports. The sweet pipes of Jason Benetti entering our dorm rooms and our living rooms, and I cannot wait. All right, let's get into the Detroit Pistons. The Detroit basketball Pistons, they played a basketball game last night, and some things happened. Let's start off the start of the game. You know, Pistons come out hot. No Cade Cunningham. Tobias Harris is the late scratch. Hopefully, Tobias will be back for Wednesday. Hopefully Cade is back for Wednesday. We'll get more into Wednesday in a little bit. You start off red hot, basically. You're up, I think it was 34-20, should have been 34-18 at the end of one. Beasley scores 12 straight points to end the first quarter. Beasley's hot. He was going to be one of my stars until I forgot I picked Judge, so I threw Judge back in there. And then second quarter, about 8 minutes and 40 seconds are left in the half. And Minnesota decides to poke the bear, as my dad would say. Don't poke the bear. You poke the bear, and the bear's name is Isaiah Stewart. And then you poke the other bear, which that other bear is Ron Holland. And when you have Detroit rappers making songs named after you, Ron Holland and Isaiah Stewart, you shouldn't mess with them. And mess with them, Dante DiVincenzo did, and mess with them, Nas Reed did. And the first time, it was kind of just like Stewart pointing, his classic point, his classic you point. And it was kind of just a little kerfuffle, if you will. And then they decide to poke the bear again and start talking some trash, saying probably things that are a little too personal for an NBA court. Ron Holland throws Dante DiVincenzo off of him, and then Dante DiVincenzo retaliates back by grabbing him by the throat and throwing him into the stands, into the front row. And then, of course, all hell breaks loose. Marcus Sasser gets in there. Marcus Sasser and Isaiah Stewart were holding DiVincenzo down. They were on top of DiVincenzo because they didn't appreciate what he did. Naz Reid was in on it. Apparently, J.B. Bickerstaff was in on it, defending his players. And you had a laundry list of ejections. Marcus Sasser, Ron Holland, Isaiah Stewart, J.B. Bickerstaff for quite literally defending his players because all we were doing was defending ourselves.
He also was exchanging words with Paul Prigioni.
Yeah,
afterwards.
That's
probably what did it.
That's what did it, and also him probably talking to the refs like, "What did we do?" The classic J.B. Bickerstaff expletives at the refs. Mm-hmm. They don't like that because the refs, they're soft. And then, like you said, Prigioni got ejected. Naz Reid, Dante DiVincenzo all got ejected. Kind of a mess, to say the least. The question remains, however, what's going to be going into Wednesday? Because Wednesday, if you folks don't know, Pistons play ESPN, national television. Flexed into that spot. The game time was moved against the OKC Thunder. And now you have this looming over your head for the next 2 days. What's going to happen? Is your head coach going to be suspended? Is Stewart, Sasser, Holland going to be ejected or suspended? Say all four of them get suspended. You think the NBA is going to suspend the head coach and three key players of a team that you just flexed into national TV? I'm sorry. If you suspend all four of those, the Pistons don't stand a chance. You're airing garbage. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, the Pistons can come out and shock the world. We still have NBA players. It's not like it's Cade Cunningham, Malik Beasley, and Jalen Duren that aren't going to play. However, those are still key pieces on that bench unit and glue guys that help, when Cade, when Duren, when Beasley are off the floor. Those guys come in and they play quality minutes and they help keep you in the game. So will they get suspended? Will we have them for ESPN? Will the NBA want to suspend them for ESPN?
Now, this is an interesting question. Because they're being flexed into ESPN, I think it would be even worse on ESPN if especially if they constantly talk about the fight. I mean, it's a storyline. Let's be honest. I mean, it's going to be talked about a lot. It's a big storyline that just happened. So, but I think it would be wrong for ESPN to air a not-so-good product if you were to suspend any of those four guys that were ejected yesterday.
But then that also brings up the notion that if they don't get suspended, we're not going to get suspended for getting into melees?
Right.
We're not going to get suspended for getting into fights? So it's a sticky situation for the NBA now. Because either you're putting out a product without... I mean, I don't think J.B. Bickerstaff should be suspended. Maybe a slight fine.
I would think he's going to get fined.
And honestly, I don't think Sasser or Stewart are going to get suspended because they didn't... I think if a Piston gets suspended, it's Ron Holland. I think so. But Ryan, you're not a fan of Dante DiVincenzo, are you?
I'm not. I've never been a fan of him. I think he's a punk. I think he's always been a punk. My hate for him kind of stems back to 2018 when Michigan played the Villanova Wildcats in the national championship. Dante DiVincenzo had, I think, 33 points and just rubbed it in our faces. I didn't appreciate that. Comes to the NBA as a second-round pick, and he just he thinks he's tough. He fights people and then hides behind a fan. He literally used a fan as a shield last night.
Yeah.
You can't even stand up for yourself.
I mean, it's hard to stand up for yourself when you're a little old Dante DiVincenzo against Isaiah Stewart and Ron Holland.
Good. Good. Let them fight him. I think Dante DiVincenzo deserves to, along with Miles Bridges, I don't think they deserve to be in the NBA. Why? Well, Miles Bridges has a reason, and
Miles Bridges is a terrible human being.
Miles Bridges, enough said.
Dante DiVincenzo, this is just personal hate, and you're also a terrible human being, along with Grayson Allen too, because they're the same player.
That's facts on Grayson Allen.
Dante DiVincenzo deserved to be ejected. Naz Reid deserved to be ejected.
Yeah, they're the ones that started.
Yep. Ron Holland deserved to be ejected. I think so. Isaiah Stewart didn't. All he did was point.
Well, that was all he got was a technical, but that was his second technical.
I did not.
So
see
they
that.
gave him a technical for going soft, and then they gave him a technical because he was involved in the melee.
Okay, I didn't see the first tech, so
yeah,
I thought it was just a straight ejection.
And then apparently Sasser threw a punch at some point.
Didn't.
That's what they said. They said that they saw Sasser throw a punch, and that's what got him the ejection.
Well, the NBA, look over it, because I didn't see Sasser throw a punch. Also, JB and Pablo Prigioni did not deserve it. They were just sticking up for themselves, which apparently you can't do in the NBA.
And JB was sticking up for his players. Prigioni was sticking up for his players and his guys. And then they started going at it themselves. And then it was just a giant mess. And you hear what Chris Finch did? Chris
Finch
Finch,
the blame on us.
He blamed us. He said we did it, and we start. He was like, they were being too physical to start. The game was too physical to start the game.
That's Detroit basketball.
You don't want to play physical? Okay. How about we all get in those giant bubble things? Those little, you bounce off each other, and you have the little the air bubble things. You're bouncing off each other. Let's play basketball in those. You don't want to be physical? You're a wimp. Chris Finch, you're a wimp. I mean, come on. Yeah, they were too physical, and because they were too physical, it started everything. No, Naz Reid and Dante DiVincenzo were talking trash, and they pushed us first. So you think Ron Holland and Isaiah Stewart aren't going to push back? Come on. What a bunch of pansies over there in Minnesota.
I have his statement up here on Reddit.
Yeah, you want to read it off for us?
Yeah,
let's
read it off before we move on. This is Chris Finch when he was asked about his view of the fight last night. Two guys went at it, quote, two guys went at it and spilled over into the crowd, which was super dangerous. I hope the camera operator is okay, by the way.
That's very much true.
He took one.
Operators.
He or she took one for the team.
They take a beating for their job.
They do, and I just hope they're okay. And continuing on, obviously it just kept escalating, mostly from their side, to be honest with you. I thought leading up to that, the game was way too physical. I thought it was a little lopsided in its physicality, and I thought that it was bound to happen. It just felt like it was coming. You've just been in enough basketball games to kind of feel this coming. It's unfortunate, but we knew they were a super physical team. They hit you, they hold you, all the stuff that you want your physical teams to do. But I just thought it got to a point where players were going to take matters into their own hands. You don't ever want that. There was a lot of antics alongside of it too. But both teams settled down and tried to play basketball after that, end quote.
I watched that press conference. They aired that on FanDuel Sports. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because I was watching and I was like, what is this guy talking about? And my girlfriend's sitting over there, she's like, weren't they the ones that started it? And she was like, I don't like this guy. I hate this guy. I'm like, yeah, same. I hate this guy too. Yeah. This guy's a joke. Wait, what was this? I'm trying to find. Where is it?
Mostly from their side. Obviously, it just kept escalating mostly from their side.
No, he said it was lopsided in its physicality. So he just said his own team is weak.
Pretty much.
He said his own team isn't physical.
He's throwing his own team under the bus.
What a loser. Chris Finch, you're a loser, okay? And the Timber Puppies, I love calling them the Timber Puppies even more now. We've got like a list of 5 teams after this season that I just hate because it's just... Oh, man.
I used to be a fan of this team. The reason why I started liking sports as a whole was Ricky Rubio. He was on the Timberwolves, and I liked the Timberwolves. Now, I think they're just a bunch of punks. They're puppies.
The Timber Puppies.
Exactly.
I've called them that since 2017 when I went to the Timberwolves game at the Palace. And I was like, hey, they're the Timber Puppies. As a young lad, a young 12-year-old Pistons fan. And, or 13-year-old Pistons fan. And it still rings true today. All right, so the Pistons, they have a couple nights off to kind of regroup here before they go on national television with probably half the roster, because knowing our luck, Tobias won't play, Cade won't play. 3 of our guys will be suspended. We won't have a head coach, and we'll get blown out by 50. Yeah, so Denise Jenkins going to play 30 minutes.
On ESPN.
Imagine.
So they play 9:30 on ESPN against the OKC Thunder. All right, coming up after the break, we've got Red Wings, and we've got a little check-in with March Madness and our brackets. You're watching Card Guys Detroit Sports Talk. We'll be back right after this. sports cards, signed jerseys, signed helmets, and more. Miller's Sports Cards and Collectibles is your one-stop shop for all things the hobby. Make sure to check them out down Mission Street in Mount Pleasant, right past Meyer. Miller's Sports Cards and Collectibles. Card Guys, Detroit Sports Talk. Join Michael Rosenkranz,
Sports take precedence over academics.
I agree, but
Ryan Donnelly,
Corbin Burns, who is their big-ticket J13 item. Scooble is with us. Scooble's our big-ticket
Did
J1.
you just call Tarek Scooble James?
And Anthony Schulte.
I have an issue.
You have.
There is no break. It's a constant grind. It's an unbreakable cycle.
Yeah, it's...
As they navigate through the Detroit sports landscape. Live Mondays and Wednesdays at 7:30 a.m. on 101.1 The Beat in Mount Pleasant and at 11 a.m. on YouTube. Card Guys, Detroit Sports Talk.
Welcome back, Card Guys, Detroit Sports Talk. Ryan Donnelly, Michael Rosenkranz, and Anthony Schulte here with you. Brand new work week, brand new program of Card Guys here for you today. The Detroit Red Wings. They played a hockey game back, I think it was a Saturday, right?
Yep.
Saturday. And they won. The Red Wings won.
Wow. What a shocker. That's rare.
That is rare.
The Red Wings, they won a hockey game, 2-1 against the Bruins. Marco Kasper and Lucas Raymond with the 2 goals for the Wingers. And they get a much-needed 2 points here, gentlemen, in this wild card race. They jump up from 6-5. Still a lot of work to do, but when the Bruins are right on your tail and you needed points, you got it done. And, in the wild card race right now, 2 points are 2 points. You're going to take it anywhere you can get, especially against a team who's also in the wild card race with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say, though, as much as a big win it is, you did jump one team, the New York Islanders. You're tied with them, but you have a game at hand against them, so you're now up into the 5th spot. But I need to see more of this. I need to see
consistency.
I need to see consistency. I saw a stat in the ESPN broadcast on the Red Wings game on Saturday. Just before they won that game, they were 11-28-3 in the month of March the last few seasons.
That's abysmal.
Mm-hmm.
It is abysmal. It's the worst in the NHL.
Wait, hold on, let me see.
So now you are 12-28-3 in the NHL in March over the past, I think, 3-4 seasons.
Wow, that is
inexcusable.
That is a winning percentage of .392, and yeah, .392.
So, good win, much needed 2 points. I need to see consistency. You go into St. Louis tomorrow, which you're not beating the Blues. At least I don't think you're beating the Blues. They're way too good of a team. You're in the final stretch of April, and I think it's just in a scenario where it's just too little too late. You got to jump the Rangers, who are tied with the Canadiens at 77. Rangers got all 3 games at hand against you. Montreal's ahead of you, but I can't remember what the series is looking like against them. But I need to see consistency from this team. Great win. Got to keep playing good going forward. Ryan?
I mean, you said it best. This wild card race is getting tough, and our schedule is not getting any easier. Nope. You got St. Louis tomorrow. They're really good. Then after that, you have Carolina back at home. I will be in attendance for that game.
Yes, sir.
It's going to be a fun one. I can't wait to go back. This is a very tough game. Michael mentioned about the Canadiens. We play them one more time. So, we could, if there is a tiebreaker, which I am not entirely sure what it's looking like, we could break the tiebreaker, and if all worst comes to worst, we win all these games towards the end of the year, we could jump them in the wild card spot. So, it's not entirely over. I thought the past couple weeks we've dug ourselves in a hole where we can't even make the second wild card spot. The first wild card spot's already locked up. The Senators already have that locked up. But I thought we dug ourselves out of a hole where we dug ourselves in a hole where we can't get to that second wild card spot. And there's still a slight chance. It's not like completely over. No, there's a tiny possibility.
But realistically,
yeah, exactly.
Realistically, it's over. Now, realistically, it's over, but there's still a chance.
Yeah.
You got to play your best hockey of the year, though. Mm-hmm. You got to play your best hockey in years.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's the tough part is, can you trust these guys to do it? After the last few seasons, 11-28-3 says no.
No. Yeah.
Luckily, March is over tomorrow. So
it's over today.
It's a new month.
Tomorrow's April Fool's Day.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Canadians are up 2-1 on the Wings in the overall series. This will be their 4th time that they've played this season.
Oh.
Okay.
So, really important game for the Wings.
And the Canadians are in that second wild card spot. All right, so the Red Wings, they play the Canadians next, correct?
Blues.
See, look at me. Excuse me, folks. I do not watch hockey as much as I probably should, especially because I do a radio program. I should probably watch this team a little bit more. So the Red Wings play the Blues tomorrow at 8. That's right, because I was looking at it for my graphics. Thanks, Red Wings. I can't do graphics until 9 o'clock tomorrow.
Oh, no.
Not even that. 10:30, 11.
I was saying it's going to be even later than that.
Thanks, Red Wings. All right, so they play 8 o'clock tomorrow against the Blues. FanDuel Sports Network, as always. All right. Let's get into a little bit of NCAA March Madness, shall we?
Yeah, yes. Why not?
All right, so our brackets,
They're
our
busted.
Brackets are not fully yet, at least for me, in terms of my selections. I am kind of upset because I originally had Duke going to the Final Four, but it didn't save my Final Four prediction, so it still had Wisconsin going to the Final Four for me. So, yeah, I'm real happy about that, but a little bit of a update here in the Card Guys standings. So we all have Florida as our champion, but I am in first place because I seem to always be in first place in these groups. 850 points for yours truly. My max is 1490. Second place, this guy right here, Michael Rosenkranz. At 800 points, his max is 1280. And then Ryan, 690. Last place with 1,170 as your max. So everybody's still in it, depending on what happens here. But Final Four is all 4 1 seeds.
For the first time since 2011? No, 20... I saw a graphic on this.
I saw a graphic on it too, but it's only for the second time in NCAA history.
Mm-hmm. And I think
2008. First time since 2008.
Yes, that's it.
If you guys can recall back to our March Madness episode, I said that if there's any year that this is going to happen, it's this year because the 1 seeds are so top heavy. Mm-hmm. And when you look at the 1 seeds, I mean, it's like the 1 seeds are juggernauts, and then you got everybody else is kind of on the same playing field almost. And look what happens. All the 1 seeds make it. Of course, the 1 year I don't have a bracket with all the 1 seeds going to the Final Four. All the 1 seeds go to the Final Four. So trying to be different and predict the upsets has bit me where the sun doesn't shine. So, got Houston, you got Duke, you got Florida, and you've got Auburn, Michigan and Michigan State both not making it to the Final Four, which is unfortunate as a Michigan program. However, it's still... Has this March Madness sucked?
Yes, 100%. This is the worst March Madness in a decade.
Because I've just been so uninterested. And maybe that's because of some outside factors that I've been uninterested. But still, Alabama beat BYU 113-88.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that game was supposed to be like...
And then they get blown out, 85-65. I don't know. I mean, there's been some good games. Don't get me wrong. There's been some great games. There's been some classics, and there's been some good basketball being played. I just feel like, I mean, you've got all the 1 seeds winning. You've got a lot of the higher seeds winning. I mean, is it a hot take to say that this March Madness has kind of been underwhelming,
Not at
maybe?
all. This is the worst March Madness since 2011, where that March Madness, it was terrible. This March Madness is the worst of probably our lifetime. You are right. There's been some good basketball, like what was it, Colorado State, Maryland, Derek Queen, where he traveled.
Yeah.
You guys talked about that last week. That was a good game. What was the Sweet 16 game with Alabama? Or what was
Well,
it
actually,
Alabama?
people said that
Houston. It was Houston.
People said that Derek Queen game winner wasn't a travel because it was 1-2, and then he used that other foot to go into his shot. So some people are saying it's a travel, some people are saying it's not. I don't know.
I'm on team no travel.
I'm just a doofus in college.
It's such a gray area. I feel like it's very close either way.
I mean, regardless, it's still counted nonetheless. There's been some great moments.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the only cool upsets I think you could say was McNeese.
Yeah.
Colorado State was kind of expected.
They were a 9 seed. No, they were a 12 seed.
seed.
They were 12 seed.
Colorado State was kind of expected to upset. McNeese, I thought, wasn't going to upset, and they did.
I mean, Drake was expected to upset.
Drake was supposed to upset, and they did. So all the people that picked an upset, they picked the normal upsets, did upset.
And you can't really call it 9 over and 8 an upset.
No.
You know?
You can't call it... I'm going to say it. You can't call a 12 over a 5 an upset.
Really?
I don't think so. I think an upset, if you're an 8 or a 9, a 7 or a 10, an 8 or an 11, or a 9 over or whatever it is, I don't
kind of
think...
like the middle of the bracket.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I think you could start calling them upsets 16 seeds or lower. Or 13 seeds or lower.
Okay.
I think that's when you can start calling them upsets. So we didn't get any of those this year. Not a single one.
I think McNeese being a 12 seed, though, is kind of generous.
Yeah, a little bit.
I think you could consider McNeese an upset, especially the way they started that game, going into half up 31-13. I mean, granted, Clemson scored 67 points and almost won.
What a great garbage time comeback by them, by the way. That was great.
Yeah. How many points is that? Quick maths. That would be 54 points in the second half there.
That's unreal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's in college basketball terms, that's unreal.
I think the one thing I'll get my Michigan little tangent out of the way it'll be about 15 seconds, but I didn't expect Michigan to make it this far. We put up a decent fight up until the 10-minute mark against Auburn, but to say I'm proud is an understatement. I'm proud of this team. I'm proud of these boys. Knowing that the future is going to be bright, especially if Danny Wolf can stay one more year to up his draft stock and play with Mr. Basketball, is going to be really nice if he stays. But Vlad's going to go. Justice already entered the transfer portal. I don't know about Trey Donaldson. I don't know if he's a senior or not. Danny Wolf's a junior, Michael.
Yeah, he's a junior, but I mean, he's obviously eligible for the NBA draft.
Yes.
I hope he goes. Detroit Pistons, second round, Danny Wolf.
I think he should stay one more year.
He probably will. He probably should. But, I mean, a 7-foot forward, I mean.
Yeah,
come on.
I'm extremely proud of the boys.
You know who he reminds me of?
Who?
Jonathan Bender.
Okay.
A 7-foot tall power forward, small forward.
Wow.
Who could shoot the ball. Jonathan Bender. Look him up. Jonathan
Bender.
That's my NBA comparison for Danny Wolf.
Bender.
Is Jonathan Bender.
Yeah, Trey's a junior.
Okay,
Trey
so
will probably stay.
I think realistically, the only players that could stay are Trey and Danny. I think Shetter might transfer. I think Barnett.
Shetter wanted to say, though, he's coming back.
Did he?
Yeah. Shetter said he's coming back along with Roddy Gale.
Oh. Well, surprise, surprise. I think most of these guys are planning on coming back because unfinished business, one. And two, they have the opportunity to play with Trey McKinney, Mr. Basketball this year, who's really, really good. So, the future is bright for this Michigan team. I'm proud of them. I thought we stood no chance against A&M. I'm surprised we got them, but we stood no chance against Auburn, even though I said in the March Madness bracket that episode that they were going to upset Auburn. Couldn't hang up until after the 10-minute mark in the second half. So, good fight, gentlemen. I'm proud of you. I wouldn't have this same conversation with you if you lost to UC San Diego. I'd be very red in the face if that happened, but I'm proud of the boys.
Yeah, Jonathan Bender here, 7-foot tall, small forward, and he was a career 34% 3-point shooter.
Oh.
Granted, it was only on one attempt.
And this was before the era of big men shooting threes.
Yeah, he was drafted in 1999.
Yeah, this was way before like all big men were shooting threes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he was way ahead of his time.
He was way ahead. I feel like if Jonathan Bender played in this era, watch Jonathan Bender's highlights. It's there on YouTube. If he played in this era, he'd probably be like a top, like a, I don't want to say a Kevin Durant level player, but like a 6'11". I mean, Durant's 7 foot. Let's be honest. He doesn't say he is, but he is. Like a lanky. Like he'd probably be shooting more like 3 or 4 attempts a game. You know, I see Danny Wolf as that though, a 7 foot forward that has size, that could shoot the rock, that could score. Yeah, Jonathan Bender picked 5th overall in the draft.
Okay, good to know.
That's my random NBA player comparison of the day. Thank you very much.
You should
There
do
you
that
go.
for the final 10 episodes.
I will try my
Right.
best. I don't know how many
That's
times.
Today, it's like the word of the day, but instead it's the random NBA role player of the day.
Yes, Popeye Jones is going to
Yes.
make a surprise appearance on Card Guy.
Wow, that's a name.
Yeah, Sandro Mamushkavele.
Yes, Mamu.
Yes.
I'm interested as to why you guys say that this March Madness has been a sleeper. I mean,
It just feels like
It
just
has
feels like
either we're grown up and we're old and we're unks, or
I think that
this
might
March
be it.
Madness has
it
sucked.
could be, but I mean, I've always enjoyed March Madness.
I'm not saying I didn't enjoy. I've enjoyed the games that I've watched. I mean, I've had the quad views up.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the early rounds for sure. I just think it's been predictable, I guess, in a way. And
That's the word.
I think that is the right
I think
word.
it's been predictable. I think it's been. It just feels like it hasn't been as magical as March Madness should be. That's just how it feels in my tum tum.
I
Tum Naren.
I think that's the right word to go for. Is it's been predictable, and it has. I mean, all number one seeds advancing.
Barely
to the
any upsets.
Final Four.
Arkansas went a little
really
far.
any
but
upset.
That was cool.
Arkansas went
Cupertino.
far. I mean,
I think they were
Arkansas upset
underseeded.
St. John's.
I think they were underseeded though, just so they could go up against Patino potentially. I think that's what they did.
Possibly.
Because friend of the program, Tyler Brazel, agrees with me when I say this, and he even said it too. He said he was going to say this if he joined our March Madness episode, that Arkansas is severely underseeded. They should be a 5 or a 6 seed.
They should.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, they were a 10 seed. And, I mean, I think the seeding was really messed up this year.
The seeding was very, very, very interesting. Arkansas, they did upset St. John's. I mean, it should have been closer of the seeding. And besides, they decided to bench their best guy in R.J. Lewis, who's now in the portal after that. Like, St. John's, what are you doing? You just ruined this man's career. I mean, the dude's probably going to the NBA.
Yeah.
But you don't do that to a up-and-coming star.
A bunch of these games are either 20-point blowouts or 9 to 13-point wins.
Yeah.
Like, there's been close games. Hey, don't get me wrong. There's been close games. There's been fun. There's been magic. McNeese,
Yeah.
their manager, whatever. There's been magic, but it just feels like it's not. I mean, I guess that goes for everything from our childhood, though. It's not as magical. It doesn't feel like it used to feel.
Yeah.
Right now, it feels like the NBA playoffs, in a way. For me at least, predictable. The games aren't necessarily all close. You have a few bangers in there. You have a few good games that you're like, you know what? That's NBA playoffs. That's March Madness. But a lot of it's just 10-point wins around there, a few blowouts here and there, a few close games here and there. Maybe it's just a Monday morning and I'm being negative about it all and I'm completely wrong and everybody's enjoyed it. Flame me in the comments if you want.
I'm on your train, Anthony. I didn't really enjoy this March Madness.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed it, but I do agree that it has been predictable.
When March Madness is predictable, it's not that fun. I mean, like Anthony said, there's been some great games. Like Colorado State, Maryland was fun. Alabama or Houston, what was it? Houston, Purdue. That was very fun at Lucas Oil Stadium. What was the game where somebody hit like a step back 3 to put their team up 5? Was that Houston? Or was that Alabama?
That might have been Alabama.
Don't ask me.
I can't remember.
I barely watched because half the time I was in the Dominican Republic, so I didn't really have time to watch sports. So it was a very predictable March Madness. I mean, we all kind of knew when we said it in our March Madness episode that this bracket was very top-heavy, and we were right. And the big dogs are going to win.
You know what I think contributes to that? And I'll say this right before we go off the air here. You know what I think contributes to that? NIL. I think NIL contributes to it.
Yep.
Everybody's going to the big schools. The big schools got the big bucks. And while there's more talent overall to where these other schools can compete, I just think all the top prospects, all the top talent, even more so now rather than in the past, are going to these bigger schools instead of the little schools. You're not seeing a John Morant at Murray State. You know, you're not seeing a Steph Curry at Davidson. If you even have an inkling of talent, you're sitting at the end of the bench on Duke. You know, because you're getting the big bucks. But yep, that's a tournament. We got the Final Four. Was that next weekend, right?
Next Saturday. Final Four, and then the national championship, and then she's all over once again. You got all the 1 seeds. Again, that's Auburn, that's Florida, that's Duke, and that's Houston. All right, well, that's all we have for today's show. Rather short show for you folks today, kind of, compacting the show a little bit. Thank you for tuning in to Card Guys Season 4, Episode 19 on 101.1 The Beat and YouTube. Tune in Wednesday as we keep this train going into April for April in the D. Yes.
We have the Tigers, we have the Red Wings, we have the Pistons all in action. And other than the Pistons, they're all playing before we come back to you guys on Wednesday. We're also going to talk more about that Pistons-Cavs game. We didn't talk about it a lot today. We'll talk more about that on Wednesday as well. For my good buddies, Ryan Donnelly and Michael Rosenkranz, I'm Anthony Schulte saying, so long, everybody.
Love you, Mom and Dad. It was great to see you over the week. Hope I see you over Easter.
If you smell!